So what I'm gonna have to do is pull the Jeep on the side, put a snatch block to the front of the trailer, and then lower it down the ramps and try not to be too unsafe in the process. So I'm gonna get set up for that and take you guys along for the ride. All right, so we are all rigged up. So obviously you can't use my current winch on the trailer. This one still needs to be rewired, never worked since I bought the trailer. So I gotta get that fixed. Would be useful right now, but unfortunately we'd have to use the winch on the Jeep instead. So got it hooked off with the winch, running to a snatch block, and then runs back to the Jeep. And then I'm gonna be able to push this down using the trunk jack to give us a little bit of a tilt to the rear, and that should give us a little bit of easier time getting to use gravity to our advantage and get this thing to roll smoothly. So get you guys on the tripod here and see how sketchy this goes. All right, let's see what this happens. One little sketchy spot there where it started to roll faster, but all in went very smoothly. Tires are on the ground now. The fun part is I still need to get the center wheel down this ramp. Now, I don't feel like dragging this thing by hand across the hill or across the dirt uphill, but I can pull the trailer forward about 3 feet, watch that closely, and then I should be able to do the rest by dropping the tongue further onto this landing saber. I don't know what the proper name for this is, but essentially this will catch the tongue if it were to fall to the ground here. So let's get that rigged up, disconnect the winch for a moment here, or let it a lot looser, and then we will see how sketchy this gets. All right, so that worked perfect. Got the landing gear to land on that piece of wood so it's not taking any fall. Now we have plenty of room to use the tongue jack to reach the ground and lift it off the trailer itself. So I'll crank this up and bring you guys back along. All right, so landing gear is on the ground. Got the saber, I forget the proper name for this, but this little saving block lifted up off of the wood, so that's all clear. Disconnected the winch now. So now, just gotta pack up the winch, get the Jeep put away, and I can pull this trailer out of my way and then start hooking up and get to washing this thing. All right, got the trailer pulled forward, just got hooked up to the Jeep now. I'm gonna use the pressure washer to see how we can get this thing looking better. Now, admittedly, I normally would not recommend using a pressure washer on a trailer because you can risk blowing out all your seals. But considering every seal on these windows are pretty well destroyed already, I'm not too worried about that. So, besides, all the silicone's really gotta go. So, I'm gonna be careful around the windows, try not to get too much water inside, but it is what it is. And then Obviously, I don't want to destroy these stickers and the original decals, so I'm going to try to cover as much as I can when I'm doing the top side with the plywood, just to give myself a little bit of protection here. All right, so first round of pressure washing is done. Looking significantly better. Still got a long way to go. Still got some debris that came off the other areas, but I think once I get a little further in, probably take some kind of rubbing compound, try to get some of the rust stains out underneath the drain holes. The sap on the roof was a bit of a mixed bag. Some areas it came clean, some areas it didn't. So again, a little bit of rubbing compound, maybe some better cleaning chemicals might help solve that, but that could be a problem for another day. But now it's actually clean enough to work on. As a reminder, I definitely do not recommend ever doing that type of pressure washing to a fully restored trailer. All it's gonna do is blow out your seals, but for this one, I'm not too worried considering all the seals on this are gonna be replaced in the next couple days anyway. So, got a few spots I missed, but all things considered, hard to complain. Let's see how wet we got inside. So all along the door, no surprise, I was spraying right into the seam. Whole back side of the door is wet. A little bit of water on the floor. Pretty well soaked in the back middle, which means the swamp cooler feels dry actually. So that might have drained from somewhere else. Let's see here. Lots of random water splatter over here. The benches are wet, which means we're getting water in here, but no surprise considering that's a hole. We got good solid splatter here. I'm not sure where that would have come from. That very well, actually, that probably came from the window when I was spraying this way. I would have sprayed right through, so that makes sense. Not too bad over here. Okay, we got a little bit of moisture from the front window, but to be expected. So this one will have to get resealed as well. But if nothing else, that was actually a really good test of what leaks and what doesn't. So, interesting splatter mark up here. Again, that probably would have been from spraying in the bottom. Absolutely soaked over here. So this window is going to need to be resealed and possibly rebuilt. Same thing in the back. A little bit of dripping down here, but again, all to be expected. So next step, getting all the trash out of here, getting rid of all these cushions, and then do a quick clean, get rid of all the nastiness of the past 40 years. And then I think today we'll be removing the windows, getting those resealed as much as we can today, maybe some into tomorrow. I think tomorrow, once we get this all dried in and no more leaks, we'll be tackling the floor rot here. So this whole section is going to be getting cut out, the first 2 layers, some fresh marine ply in there, and then fiberglassing over the top of that. So we got our work ahead out for us, but overall, pretty happy so far. On to the next one.